What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Please follow my Instagram at RussoLifts, just in case something happens to this YouTube channel. You can follow, message, and you can watch my daily story content on Instagram. I'll see you there.
Everyone, it's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Back with Lucas from Ergogenic Health, as I stutter like crazy. But I wanted to go into the topic with Lucas because he's a naturopath on basically PEDs, steroids, SARMs, synthetic androgens impact on dopamine and ways, methods to mitigate the dopamine suppression. So why do PEDs cause dopamine suppression, and what can you do to combat this?
Yeah, so the first thing to consider is the fact that testosterone, the primary androgen, is actually it hugely governs dopamine D2 receptors in the brain. And these D2 receptors are very much responsible for motivation, drive, and mood. And you'll see that many like antipsychotics and things that like reduce schizophrenia actually block these D2 receptors. So they block dopamine. So when we look at testosterone itself, with certain PEDs, the ones that cause that HPT suppression and things like that, basically what we need to do is ensure that we rebuild these D2 receptors. And the way that we can do this is through a couple of really versatile nootropics. The first one is uridine monophosphate. Uridine is found in the Mr. Happy stack. It was actually one of my favorites back in the day. And that helps to replenish dopamine D2 receptors. So that's, quite a versatile one that can help with that. Because a lot of guys, when they come off gear, is they feel that huge suppression in motivation, drive. They don't feel like they have as much kick and like urge to train. So what we need to do is we need to restore that dopamine D2 receptor downregulation through uridine, through another compound called forskolin, which is a thyroid enhancer and fat burner. That has also been shown to upregulate these D2 receptors. And then basically just providing the building blocks for, dopamine synthesis. So that's where, again, compounds like bromantane can really help guys coming off gear, can help to restore that dopamine synthesis. So there's quite a few there. And then even just ensuring that we have all of the right nutrients and micronutrients like magnesium. And the most common one that a lot of guys neglect, I know we often talk about excess iron in men. I know that's problematic, but also being low in iron makes it very difficult to actually create dopamine.
My father was a long distance runner in college, and because he ran so much, he got an iron deficiency, and that like literally bedridden him until they figured out what the issue was. So PEDs impact iron is basically what you're saying?
PEDs, they can affect iron absorption and things like that. But the key point is just to make sure that these guys are getting their blood work done. Just keep an eye on their iron levels. If they are donating blood as well, like, every 12 weeks, eventually they can get to a point where if iron becomes too low, then it can be problematic for dopamine as well.
What would you, let's say, like, I'm going to say, like, let's say this person was cycling for an amount of time to where they could get off and restart their HPTA. I'm not really aiming this towards, like, the people who have blasted hardcore and, like, even when they come off, like, the connection with your HPTA and your brain is gone. I'm talking about the people who can still restart. What would you tell that person trying to mitigate the mental roller coaster of going from super physiological androgens for so long down to this crash that has to happen? And in my opinion, like a real PCT or like your HPTA kicking back on could be like 4 or 5 months before it's back to normal.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it can take months. It depends on like the dosages that they were using, how long they were using it for. But utilizing some of the compounds. I know everyone talks about tribulus, which is it's found in PCT stacks, but there's another herb that I think is a lot more effective, and I talk about this. I've spoken about it a few times. Is one called cistanch. Now, cistanch is from like traditional Chinese medicine, and cistanch actually upregulates conversion of cholesterol into pregnenolone, and then downstream from pregnenolone into all the other hormones. So, and it also increases DHT. It increases sperm count by like threefold. It increases sperm motility. It's like the number one most androgenic herb for men. And I think I even mentioned this to you off camera, was that I got my my natural test up to 988 nanograms per deciliter.
That's the highest natural test that I've seen in a long. I think the highest natural test someone's ever DM'd me was 1,000 something, like low 1,000 something. So that's right up there.
Yeah, I'd like to retest.
How much do you think, like, we'll obviously go into your stack of how you raise your testosterone that high naturally, but in my opinion, like, how much do you think, like, you have low stress, you're sleeping perfectly, like, how much do you think that weighs in on that 988 versus the things you're taking?
You know what, man? I think they do play a huge role. The fact that I was doing, like I was squatting, like doing heavy weight training, like 2 to 3 times a week. And then I was eating a shit ton. Like I definitely wasn't in a caloric deficit. I was eating a lot of carbohydrates, heaps of organ meats as well, like liver, kidneys, chicken hearts. I was taking microdosing like cyproheptadine, which is like a serotonin blocker. I was taking a small amount of TUDCA. I was using that cistanch. I was using high dose vitamin B1. I was using small amounts of vitamin E to keep prolactin low. I was megadosing phenylalanine to also suppress serotonin. So one thing we can talk about briefly is like there's actually a negative correlation between serotonin and testosterone. The higher the serotonin, the lower the testosterone. So I was looking at any sort of strategy that I can use to lower serotonin and raise dopamine. And by doing so, you suppress prolactin and you promote testosterone production. So I think, plus the icing of the balls, I spoke with Vigorous Steve about icing of, oh shit, you haven't heard of it?
I didn't watch that.
Oh geez. Well, this will have to be the highlight reel. So I was icing my balls for like 10 to 15 minutes, 3 times a day. And Leo's spoken about it as well on Derek's channel. But basically, yeah, the premise is that anytime the testes are 2 degrees too warm, it completely arrests spermatogenesis. Like, okay. Yeah. So icing also has like that vasoconstrictive effect. So it causes vasoconstriction, and then that's followed by like a rebound vasodilation, which promotes blood flow. And dude, like I created like a Facebook group where like it was all about icing your balls. And like I've got like 1,600 dudes just all saying how it restored their morning wood, increases their sex drive, improves their training. People like literally any natty guy that's not icing their balls is literally missing out.
That is a major key that I did not know, but now know.
Yes.
How long were you icing before you noticed the difference?
Within like a few days, man. Like 2 to 3 days in, I was like, damn, something's getting me charged up. Like I was feeling really good. And then I shared it with a couple of my mates, like a few of my friends, and they started doing it, and they all reported the exact same effects, like just better vitality, man. Like so good.
What's your opinion on tribulus, the D-aspartic acid? I'm trying to think of the other stereotypical natty T boosters. I think there's one more that I can remember.
Ashwagandha?
Ashwagandha. Is that real? I thought that was like a stress reducer.
Yeah, but it's also been shown to raise testosterone, but that's the one that has all the negative. Remember I mentioned negative side effects of common sups? Ashwagandha is one that can really mess with mood because it can mimic the effects of SSRIs. So it can cause like blunted pleasure, reduced orgasm feeling, blunted orgasm, PSSD. And there's like, I've got a folder on my computer of like hundreds of guys reporting all of the same emotional numbing and negative side effects from ashwagandha, like apathetic, like guys literally feeling apathy, like they just can't be effed doing anything. So ashwagandha is one to just stay away from. Like, I'm just not a fan. Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, ashwagandha is probably one of the most popular anti-stress herbs that I see out there. So it seems like you are stating the complete opposite, which is kind of funny because when I went into researching ashwagandha, I mean, I didn't dig as deep as you, obviously, in a fucking naturopath. But like, my low level of digging led me to think that that was anti-stress.
Yeah, it is absolutely to anti-stress. It does lower cortisol. It's like it lowers it significantly, but I think there's also a lot of guys out there that have low cortisol, and if they take ashwagandha, cortisol's tanked. They have no energy. They don't have a good mood. You're right. Like it is a good anti-stress herb, but honestly, man, like if I wanted to lower cortisol, I would be using stuff like Imodin or lemon balm or there's so many baby aspirin lowers cortisol. Like there's so many things.
Rocker.